Hi friends, it's Robin with Pale Bird Designs, and today we're going to talk about this Rainbow Storm tumbler. It is a UV white to blue glitter with glow-in-the-dark vinyl, which I am absolutely obsessed with. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to start with about 7 milliliters of mixed epoxy on my tumbler, and this UV chunky glitter from Creepsakes, which I will link down in the description. And then I'm going to go about 12 inches above my cup and just lightly sprinkle it on with my fingertips, keeping my cup at a pretty steep angle so I get a really nice ombre effect. And I'll sprinkle it on until I'm happy with the coverage. Full coverage at the top and kind of going down and just a couple sprinkles at the bottom because I want the clouds to be predominantly this chunky glitter. And I just want a little bit at the bottom to kind of look like raindrops. And then once I'm happy with my chunky glitter, I'm going to go in with the UV white to blue in a fine. And then just sprinkle that onto the bottom. And then I'll let that turn on my turner until the epoxy cures. And I do go back in and add a couple little sprinkles of the chunky to the bottom on the fine. My phone didn't record it, but once that's cured, add another layer of epoxy, and then you can go in with your cloud decal. I like to put each part of the decal on separately because I use it as a guide for my tacky tape in the next step. So just like you'd put on any other decal, I like to take it all off the paper and then wrap slowly with this little squeegee brush. I find that it helps me keep it straight and press the image design down. Now this vinyl is pretty sturdy, but it does like to stick to my transfer tape, so you'll see me go in and push things down with my fingers as I'm taking the transfer tape off this design. And then once you've got that done, it's time to finish mixing the mica glitter mixes. So I use about 10 milliliters up to that line of ice glitter, and then whatever mica color I'm mixing. I start with just a little bit of a scoop of the color, and then I add more if I want it to be a darker color. But I wanted this cup to be a little lighter than a metallic glitter, but darker than an iridescent. And the micas give you a really good opportunity to mix the exact color that you want. They blend together really well. As you can see, I mixed 2 of the greens here together to get the color I want. And then you'll just go through and mix all 6 of your colors for your rainbow. And then we're going to put on our tacky tape layer. So I use the cloud as a guideline. I tape down one side of it, and then roll it out and cut about a 1/4 inch strip off of the bottom and weed that off. And then I'm going to roll my cup while pressing down lightly to get that layer on. And then I'll remove the tape gently because it does like to peel the paper a little bit. And then I'll roll the cup the other way while removing that backing layer. Using the same movement and pressing down lightly and rolling the cup towards me to make sure it stays where I want it to be. And then the last 1/2 inch or so, I tend to lift up and place by hand to make sure I'm getting my seams lined up. And then if I get any wrinkles, I just push those down. And then we're ready for our micas. I like to cover the whole thing in ice glitter first. Whatever your lightest color is going to be, or a white, to fill in any holes that you might have on the tacky tape so you don't get any colors where you don't want them to be. Because when you're doing tacky tape, I highly recommend doing darkest to lightest so you don't get colors mixed in, dark colors mixed in with your light colors. So I like to go over the whole design in the lightest color or a white before I start. And then we're going to go in from our darkest color to our lightest color. So I'm going to start with the red. And I do go over everything twice. So I'll sprinkle on the first layer, brush it off with that fine brush, and then go back and put it on again, just to make sure I'm filling in all of those holes, so when I do the next color, it doesn't have anywhere to stick. And like I said, I'm just going to brush it off lightly. And this one I'll do in real time, but I speed through the other ones. And then I'll go over with a second coat just to make sure I'm getting the color coverage that I want and all the holes are filled in. Then we'll use our orange. Our purple. Blue. Oh no, green, I'm sorry. Blue, and then our yellow. Just whatever your darkest to lightest order is, and it really helps the colors to keep from blending. And then once you're done with your micas, I go in and I add the raindrops to the bottom. Just using that last layer as a guide as well. A couple of them wanted to stick to the paper. So you see me go back and make sure I press them on. And then remove that. And these raindrops have a couple of them that have an outline, so you'll see me weed those out next in those few spots. I think there's 5 or 6 of them that are just a little outline of a raindrop instead of a full raindrop. And I find them easier to weed on the cup. And then you're going to want to spray seal your tumbler just so those micas don't move when you put your next layer of epoxy on. And my camera also didn't record me putting the next layer of epoxy, but you'll epoxy, let it cure, and then we can do our final striping, which I find easiest if you line it up and then just gently roll the tumbler away from you and let the vinyl fall where its pattern is cut. And then repeat for all the other lines. Add your final coat of epoxy. And that's it. Make sure you sand your top and bottom rim before this final coat of epoxy or the next coat. Sometimes those stripes need 2 extra coats compared to the 1. So I will sand everything before my final coat, like I would any tumbler. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave them below in the